Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the B-Tones podcast, and this is episode 8. And with me today, I got a special young brother who I just met last week. And we're going to talk about one simple subject today, which is overcoming. If you go through anything difficult in life, it's always temporary. You're never going to stay right there. So it is naturally a habit in life that we overcome. Simple example, when you were a child, you couldn't walk as soon as you came out the womb. But you learned how to crawl, and then you learned how to walk. Also with speech. When we came out the womb, we didn't know how to talk. So we're constantly overcoming. That's what today's message is going to be about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand the mic over to my young brother right now, who's making all these gray hairs feel really gray right now. I'm going to hand the mic over to him, let him introduce himself. And if he has a testimony on his mind, we're going to start off with a good word of testimony. So my young brother, Kelvin, introduce yourself, and if you got a good word of testimony, go ahead and share it, man.
Yeah, appreciate you bringing me on today. Yeah, so my name's Kelvin, and I've moved here to the US 4.5 years ago. I think it was a big transition for me. I came in just before the pandemic, which was a blessing and a curse because I got to work remotely because my commute to work was a struggle. In my mind, I knew that in itself was something that I needed to overcome. I think testimony-wise, I think I'd like to talk about public speaking for one. So when I was younger, I never felt like I was a naturally gifted speaker. I would be the person in class that would have to prepare a day or so in advance if a teacher said we needed to read in public or read in front of the classroom. So for me, I was like, one of these days I had a PE assignment. And during that assignment, I was told, give a presentation on a coaching program that we had. So during that program, at the end of that program, my PE teacher told me that, you speak well, you're very particular. And for me, that was profound because that wasn't something that I'd never heard before. Nobody told me that I spoke really well. And I think just that word of encouragement, whether he knew it or not, changed how I saw myself, changed how I saw my capacity or maybe my ability to speak. And that's when I delved into really working on that skill and overcoming fear of just speaking among people. Because I would speak well in front of my friends and family, but when it came to people in general or people outside of that realm, again, you have thoughts of, what do people think of me? Or maybe if I say the wrong thing, am I saying something that might be offensive to somebody? And one thing you realize as you get into it and you're exposed to that, you realize that people don't think as much about you as they do about themselves. So as much as you think that people are critiquing every word that you say, every sentence that comes out of your mouth, the reality is that they're more focused about maybe what they're going to say next, as opposed to what you're saying in general. So over the years, I would start off by when I went into class or even at university, when the lecturer would ask a question, I would be the first one to put up my hand and answer the question, because especially in the UK, people are less likely to put up their hand to answer a question and just let the lecturer speak. So for me, whether I was right or wrong, that wasn't my end goal. My end goal was to be exposed and to get myself speaking, publicly speaking in front of people, to get over that fear. So at the end of the day, I feel like you definitely have to be proactive if you want to overcome something. But also in order to overcome, it's good to have a community of people and have a good word, have somebody to speak life into you.
Yes.
Without that, many people don't have it. And without that, people just don't know what they don't know. So they can go through their whole life and think that they're less than, think that they're incapable of things that they can truly be capable of if they had the right people in their lives or had the right voice to kind of lead them in the right direction.
Man, this is good stuff already, man. And you answered my question before I got a chance to ask it because I can hear the distinguished accent in your voice. But for those who do not know, young brother Kelvin is from the UK. You were born and raised there, correct? Am I correct?
Yes, in London, North London.
I'm already inspired just by a few things that you mentioned, a couple key points that I want to bring out again that you said. Well, the first thing was there was a seed that was planted in you in good due season by your instructor, who said that you are articulate. And without that seed, you would not have started to get and be where you currently are right now. That's the first thing. I want the audience to pick up on, focus on when somebody spoke life into you, even when it was unexpected, and ask yourself the question, what have you done to cultivate that seed? Young Kelvin already provided the information of being proactive and being consistent and believing in what that person said, even though they had never heard of it before. Another thing he said is proactiveness. I was overcoming fear of public speaking. And as I continued to do it, and as I continued to get better, I got more and more confident with my emotions, with my body language, my facial expressions, with the adjustments of my tone. Because communication is more than just the words we say. It's about how we are and how we express ourselves, and that makes us unique. So the next question I want to pose to you, Kelvin, what are some of the things that you're doing now to help that grow? What have you done? What training have you taken? What are some things that you're doing to constantly put it in practice?
I think a year or two before I came to the US, I decided to take it one step further and go to Toastmasters. And Toastmasters is a great place for people that have fear of speaking or just need a good environment to have training room, be able to speak among like-minded people that are also trying to improve their speeches. And I think one great thing about it is there's varied levels of experience. So you can have people that are at the same level as you, or even lower than you, or even higher than you. So you get different levels of feedback, or how did people receive my message? What can I work on? And there's different sections within a Toastmasters meeting. So it begins with an impromptu speech session, which is known as table topic. There's a table topics master. They come in with a certain number of topics that they present to the group. And they pick people at random to speak on a topic that they didn't have time to plan ahead of time for. And that works that muscle to be able to speak on a subject on the cuff. Like if you're in the office and you're told to give a presentation about something, or if you're in the cafeteria and you're having a conversation about a certain topic that you probably don't know too well. I think just being exposed to that level of training and just having to speak off the cuff is an important skill. And with every speech that is given, whether it's table topics or it's a prepared speech, it's always ended with feedback. So for table topics, there are several speakers that speak on several topics. And then there's one person that provides feedback for each of those people. That does two things. It provides the people speaking with feedback that they can work on, or things that they're doing well and they can continue with. And it also gives the person providing the opportunity to provide feedback in a clear, concise, and valuable way to the speaker. And then also the audience gets to learn what was good and bad about that particular speech. And then the other section of Toastmasters is prepared speeches. So you might have something that you get allocated a slot maybe a few weeks in advance to maybe a month or so in advance. And you have to present a speech that's 5 to 7 minutes long. Usually there's 3 to 4 speeches in each session. And there, each prepared speech is given someone that provides feedback. So it's not just one person providing feedback for each,
right,
but it's one person per prepared speech. In addition to that, every person in the audience can provide written feedback. They have a process called a compliment sandwich, where you provide a positive, then you provide something that needs working on and probably needs improvement, and then you provide another positive. So through that, you provide the speaker with good feedback in terms of what they can work on, but also you show them that they are doing things. there are things that they are doing well and can keep them motivated. Again, it's the words, it's providing words of life into that person that keeps them coming back. Half the battle is just showing up, being there. Yeah, so I did that for 4 to 5 months. And I think my challenges, not only with public speaking, but with skills in general, is that I get to a level of competence and then I want to try something new. Delving into something and really mastering a talent or a skill is something that I'm challenging, I'm working on now. And it's something that I definitely want to delve into. And that's what I'm doing with my faith, because I see my faith as a lifelong walk. It's not something I can affect and something I can get good at within a couple months or maybe a year or two, and then I can just move on. It's something that I'm constantly going to be working. So I'm working on overcoming my ability to stay the course, to master something and to delve deep and to not feel that sense of the grass is greener on the other side. And also feeling like if I commit to this one thing, what happens if I find out later down the line that I had better opportunities elsewhere.
First thing that you mentioned that I definitely think is so valuable is the community. You said that when you were able to practice in Toastmasters, you had like-minded people around you who were also interested in growing. They were able to give feedback. And I love the impromptu approach to speeches. When you are just simply preparing to be good at doing voiceover and reading, the easiest thing you do is read out loud. Get comfortable with the sound of your own voice, how you articulate certain things, just regular. Always read stuff you've never read before. Like pick up the newspaper and read a random article of a section that you like, or pick up a magazine or a book, or go online and find an article or a story about something that you're interested in, because you'll also find the difference in this. If you read something that you have a generated authentic interest in, you'll read it with more excitement and with more enthusiasm because you're interested in it. If you can practice reading things that are unfamiliar and familiar and make them sound similar, that is a skill and that is a trait that's like another plug of mastery as far as like your speech. Another thing I want to point out is the fact that prepared speeches, before you have prepared speeches, they give you tutelage and impromptu. So now that you're comfortable about being thrown anything and being able to confidently speak about it, what happens when you prepare? It's like a better finished meal or a better recipe that you're cooking up, and everything's better because of the skills that you've learned in doing it off the cuff. So I love that also. But the main thing I definitely want to take away, like one of the main things, and it's something I'm going to take from you and put into my coaching program, is, what did you say, the feedback sandwich? The feedback, I like a name to it. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen people do that and I do that as well, but to have a name to it, like really encapsulates what it is I'm trying to do. You start out with something good, you give constructive criticism, and then you end with something good. I teach a course called Crucial Conversations. I teach it at work. And what I do is I teach employees of the federal government how to have difficult conversations both on the job and at home. It's a work-life class. So one of the things that I always bring up to them to start off or get them comfortable in speaking about something difficult is heating up the oven. And heating up the oven is simply this. What you are about to say, although it may be difficult, you want to make sure that you're careful on how you communicate it, because it has the potential of going one way or another. You don't know how somebody's going to react. So by warming up the oven, you let the person know ahead of time why you're about to say what you're going to say. It's for their benefit and for your benefit, and you have to be authentic. You have to have a level of authenticity for the care of the other person and for yourself, and you express that before you say the information that may set them off. So it's like I'm warming you up to let you know about the bad thing that happened. All of that is showing care for the other person and is heating the oven to deliver the message, which was unfortunate. And so seeing the fact that we've employed these methods of communication, we talked about some really good principles. I want to end off this podcast just asking about what do you plan to do in the future, or what you're launching right now using your ability to speak, and how you want to impact others, because clearly you got a gift. If you want to talk briefly about anything that you currently are working on or that you plan to work on to help more people, to be of service to more people, by all means, please do.
I think just to start off with, it's amazing the point that you began with, reading out loud. And I think that's one of the first things that I did. was reading all my books out loud. Initially, I was worried about people listening to me around the house, but then I realized that this is something that I want to grow in. They'll see the progress. And whether I'm stuttering or whatever, again, reading out loud is a foundational principle that I would recommend to anybody that wants to learn how to articulate themselves well to be doing from day one. In regards to what I'm doing now, I am working on networking now. So it was something that I was quite apprehensive about, particularly in the DMV area. I feel like it's very networky and it's very transactional. However, I can see the value in developing your ability to speak, again, improve true speaking, as well as just building a community of like-minded people. So it helps to just expose yourself. So that's something that I'm really taking on board, because I have been quite a regimented, routine person. So I always felt like I'm going to be able to do my thing and everything else will kind of work its way out. But now I've realized the importance of those softer skills that you learn about communicating and being around people and having people in your life, because you can also speak life into the people as well as yourself. It reminds me of something I've been struggling with also, being able to use my voice for people that I'm not necessarily close with, because I tend to have these types of conversations with my close friends and family. And in my mind, I tend to feel like I'm quite selfish in a sense, that I only want the value that I have to be shared with those that I truly care about. And what it brings to mind is the parable of the talents. The master had provided the 3 servants, the first servant with 5 talents, the second 2, and the third with 1. And he went off on a journey. And during that journey, the first servant doubled his talents from 5 to 10. The second from 2 to 4. And the third, fearing that he may lose it, dug a hole and hid it under the ground. The master was pleased with the first servant. There you doubled your talent from 5 to 10. I'm well pleased. The second doubled from 2 to 4. Well pleased. But then the third, expecting the same treatment from the other 2, came in saying, "Oh yeah, I kept it safe for you and I did nothing with it." The master was very upset and angry and disappointed in him. So much so, he took that talent, gave it to the servant with 5, banished that third servant for his disobedience and his laziness. That third servant somewhat resembled me, because I felt like, I'm keeping it safe, or I'm keeping it within the community. But God doesn't give you talents to keep to yourself. He gives it to you to be able to share to the people that need it most. What I spoke about before, where somebody is waiting to hear this, or hear the things that may come across as common knowledge to us, but somebody just needs to hear it. God has put you on this earth to be able to give that person life and to give that person that start, to be able to, he's trying to work through you to be able to provide that for another person. So for me, that's something that I'm now changing my mind on. And with the advent of social media and the internet, this is a time where we all have a duty to be able to share our experiences, our advice, no matter how menial it may seem to us. It could be life-changing. Again, I'm fighting with being public or being in the public eye. I'd rather just put it out there and then see and then whatever value is received is received. However, that's what comes with sharing your opinion or sharing your gifts. That it may come with criticism, but that's something that you have to deal with.
Yep.
So I think it's not something I should be shying away from.
Press into it, man. One key essential thing to help you focus on pushing yourself out there and overcoming and pushing past any doubts or fears. always keep an intense focus, the value that you plan to bring through whatever you're going to say, because you know, before you cut the camera on, before you turn the microphone on, you're not about to say anything that's going to lead people down the wrong path. Your intention from your heart is true, is pure, is righteous, and is noble. And if you keep that in there, you never know who's going to receive the good word in a due season to where their whole life just changes. Kind of like that instructor who said that you are articulate. And you could be the person to drop that word on whoever is listening. And the possibility of that should fill you with such joy and anticipation that it pushes you into it. Before we jump out of here, if there's a way that people can contact you, maybe find out more information about the things that you're doing, it can be as simple as an email. Just go ahead and give your email address or any type of relevant contact information, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, so right now I'm not currently on social media. I do have a email address, which is my name, Kelwin Williams @hotmail.co.uk.
Cool, man. Hey, listen, I appreciate your time, brother. I definitely appreciate your words. A lot of great things are going to be happening this year, very soon and very often, and I'm going to be discussing all of them here on the podcast. So please show your support, like and subscribe if you like this type of content. And we're going to see you next week, because you never know what you're going to get from B-Tones podcast. But one thing is for sure, you're definitely going to get a good word. So peace and blessings to everyone watching, and we'll see you next time.